Now we are gearing up for the second technical session. We have a panel comprising of Mr. G. Hari, General Manager Personal and HR TVS Sri Chakra, Mr. Jay Shankar, Protector of Immigrants, Chennai, Deputy Secretary to Government of India. We have the dignitaries on the way to the stage. We have Dr. N. Seduraman, Founder Chairman of Meenakshi Mission Group. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a round blossom for them? It's a very young, energetic team. By the time they get onto the stage, can I ask the audio system to play a video of one another partner of ours, Bharat University? Thank you.
Do you have a dream to reach for the stars? We're gonna shape your future and who you are. Creating leaders and guides of tomorrow. Giving you
Institute of... Gentlemen, we are all set for the technical session 2 to be chaired by Mr. Hari Gopal, General Manager, Personal and HR at TVS Sri Chakra Limited, Madurai. He is a postgraduate, PM and IR at Xavier Labour Institute, Jamshedpur. Joined as a management trainee, grew with the organization in various capacity in the personal and HR functions. Initially involved in various personal and HR initiatives over the year. He has been with various government bodies, including Steel Authority of India, rolling mills, and counts on. I request Mr. Hari to take on the dais from here on.
A very good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. We are approximately 40 minutes behind schedule. Lunchtime is fast approaching. But I'm afraid we have an agenda, and we need to finish this agenda. I have my very good friend sitting right in front of me who's already told me, no scissoring, no editing. We will try to compress the time. We have an hour's time given to us. We'll see how best we can reduce it so that we can have lunch as early as possible. I'm going to speak less. That's what I've been told to. I'll do my moderator's job. I have two very distinguished speakers. I think you should listen to them more, not an old man like me. Nevertheless, I do have a few issues, do have a few points to make based on whatever experience I have gathered over the period of time working in industry, hardcore manufacturing, and I shall certainly make my points. Some very interesting statistics to begin with. I don't have PowerPoint. I have written something which I'm going to refer to while I talk to you. According to Goldman Sachs, India will add 110 million people to the global workforce by 2020. According to McKinsey, 73 million workers are needed by 2015. That is approximately 50% more than today in the auto and electronic sector. About 50 million more people will have to be imparted skills as the country, that is India, aims at increasing the percentage of the workforce with formal skills through vocational training from 12% to 25% at the end of the 12th plan period. That's the challenge. Now here are some reality checks as far as our country is concerned. Only 1 in 4 engineering graduates in India is employable based on technical skills. The OECD, that is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, conducted program for international students assessment, has revealed that the studies of 15-year-old children had Indian students securing second from the bottom, only ahead of Kyrgyzstan, amongst 500,000 students from 73 countries. The 2012 World University Rankings include none of the Indian varsities or institutes from the world's top 200. China has 7 amongst the top 200 list. That's reality check for you, or rather us. Therefore, bridging the skill gap becomes imperative if we have to advance and become the most powerful nation in the Committee of Nations. Obviously, when we talk about employability skills, we categorize 4 skills. 1, the fundamental skills, that is the basic skills related to general aptitude, logical reasoning, quantitative ability, and so on and so forth. The second, the technical skills, what we derive when we go through college, school, institution education, differs from the kind of profession that we are picking up. And then we have the third one, the communication skills. That is the individual's ability to interact in the professional environment. These include the verbal, written skills, language skills, reading, writing, speaking, listening, which helps the individual to make two-way communications. And the last one, what people call as the soft skills. They call it as soft, but I feel it's very hard. They are the skills connected with leadership, team building, time management, decision making, goal setting, etc. Essentially connected with managing relationships at work. Obviously, there are solutions available, solutions being pursued. Effective industry, academia collaborations, wherein organizations impart practical training to fill the void. You have several organizations, including TVS, which have what is called finishing schools. You have collaborations with management institutions sending their students for internship to organizations. We have the tie-up with RINL, that is Lakshmipati Institute of Management at Madurai. We also have a finishing school with a tie-up with IIT Chennai and the Tyagaraja College of Engineering at Madurai. You also have employability assessments being carried out. There are many organizations. If you go through the portals, you will find out organizations like Merit, Track, etc. You have employability training. That's another aspect. Now you have also organizations which run their own engineering institutions. You have SSN College in Tamil Nadu. In Chennai, you have Mahindra and Mahindra having their own engineering institution, which brings in or which develops custom-made students for development or induction into their industry. Obviously, when in such a platform, when you talk about skill gap, I do have to get back to my own experiences. Now, what kind of students do we get? I'm not deriding students. Please, for a moment, do not think so. But I would still like to give you a bit of the kind of experiences that we face. I do quite a bit of recruitment. I do quite a bit of interaction with young children, young students, people who are fresh from engineering institutions or induction into our organization as graduate engineers. I'll tell you one very recent example. As I told you, I'm not here to deride, but I'm only trying to tell you the magnitude of the issue. Very recently, there was a candidate who came for a personal discussion with us. The two of us, the business head and myself, were in the panel. And the individual just passed out his engineering degree. So we started off with asking his name, and then the college from where he studied. I wouldn't like to reveal many things, but I would only say that he is a 2012 June passed out electrical engineering graduate. We tried to first initially find out the type of expressions that he has. Then we thought we'll ask him some questions on the domain. So I asked him, you're an electrical engineer. Could I ask you some questions on electrical engineering because you just passed out in 2012 June? His answer was, sir, I am no doubt an electrical engineer, but I know only 25% of electrical engineering. I do not know the 75%. And I'm sure you're going to ask me questions from the 75%, and I'm going to fumble, and you are going to feel embarrassed. I thought he was very honest in trying to tell us that he didn't know, but then it also gave us a little disturbing feeling as to the type of students that are coming out of engineering institutions. I am not here to exaggerate. This is not an exaggeration. This is just one example I've given. I could give you a few more examples. All I'm trying to say is there are two players at least involved. One, the individual himself, and then two, the organization. Certainly the organization, after he enters, has got a responsibility in developing him. There is no doubt about it. And that's how we talk about buzzwords like competency mapping, and we talk about skill matrix, and then we talk about assessment centers, and then we talk about assessing the individual competency assessments, and so on and so forth. Very good. They're all part of what organizations should be doing, and many organizations are doing. But there is something called the individual, me. He should have the propensity to develop himself first. That's very important. It takes me back about 30 years, 1970, when I joined as a management trainee in Steel Authority of India Limited. And let me tell you, I'm blooded in public sector and private sector. I have a mix. The type of selections that are done in public sector are extremely good. Even today, the management trainee selection or the graduate engineer selection, they have to go through a very rigorous test. And the cream is taken. What happens, according to me, is I'm not a brilliant student. I'm a very average student. I want to tell you that. You have the tendency to learn. You have to prepare yourself, whether it be the written test, which consists of comprehension in English, or test of reasoning, or the IQ, followed by some kind of a group discussion where you express yourself. Now, these are all fundamentals that are required for entry into industry. Students need to prepare themselves. They should have certain abilities like thinking on their feet. They must have some ability to express themselves. And I feel the best way to express themselves is to read. They ought to read. I think the habit of reading has come down. We need to, I think, like we have marathons, people running marathon races, we should have a movement for people to read. Even newspapers, The Hindu, provides the best platform for people to improve their vocabulary. Industry is not looking for Shakespeare's, no, but they are looking for people who can speak very fundamental English. That's lacking today. And since they feel that they are not able to express themselves well, they go into a shell. And therefore, the best part of the abilities don't come out. There are many things which I have noted down, like they need to know what they should think on their feet, critically, creatively, analytically. They must be time conscious. They should not only work hard, but they should work smart. They should stay connected. They should accept feedback. They shouldn't just give ideas. And they should grab opportunities to showcase their skills and abilities. Gentlemen, all of us sitting here, including students who are here or mentors of students, all of us have got tremendous abilities. There's no doubt about it. I think we need to understand that we have abilities and make use of those abilities. 35 years back, I'm reminded, I was undergoing a training program, and I'm reminded of that story which is still there, programmed in my mind, which I thought I will share, and then I'll stop here. This is the story of an old man who was staying in a mountain, and he used to make his living by staying in a small hut, picking up twigs from the forest, lighting his fire, making some food, and living all alone. So one day when he was out on the open, he found a small bird which had fallen down and it was struggling. So he picked up the bird and he found that the bird was a little weak. So he took the bird to his hut, gave the bird some little food, nursed it up for a day, and when he found that the bird was fine, good enough, he took the bird out, came to the mountain, stood at the edge of the cliff, and the sun was just coming up. It was an early morning sight. He put the bird on his palm and said, "Bird, fly. And if you fly, you got the whole world in front of you with the sun rising." So saying, he let the bird out. The bird fluttered, but came down. Again, he picked up the bird, said, "Bird, you got the whole world in front of you. Fly." The bird took off, fluttered, came down the precipice, again fluttered, and it took off. Now, gentlemen, all of us have got wings. All that you need is to flutter. Perhaps you may feel that you are falling down, flutter again, and then the sky is the limit. Thank you very much for whatever I said and for your patient listening. You're going to hear two very distinguished speakers. The first is Mr. D. Jaishankar. Mr. D, I have great pleasure in introducing to you Mr. D. Jaishankar. He is from Chennai. He belongs to the Indian Audit and Accounts Service. In 1972 born, from Viluppuram district in Tamil Nadu. Father was a Tamil Pandit. He had a brilliant academic record, BSc Agriculture, gold medalist from Annamalai University, MSc Agriculture from the Tamil Nadu Agriculture University in Coimbatore, MSc Defense and Strategic Studies 2007 from the Madras University through the staff course in the Defense Service Staff College, Wellington. Started his professional career in the Tamil Nadu Agricultural Extension Service in November 1996, moved over to the Agriculture Research Service of the Indian Council of Agriculture Research as scientist in 1997, served in several places, including Bihar, in the Sugarcane Breeding Institute Research Center at Motipur in Muzaffarpur, joined the IA&A service in September 2000. Currently, he is working in the Directorate of, he is working as the Protector of Immigrants, Chennai, in the rank of a Deputy Secretary to the Government of India under the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs, Government of India, Chennai. Please welcome Mr. D. Jaishankar. I give Mr. Jaishankar not more than 15 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A very good afternoon, everyone. I thank Mr. Hari for giving no problem. A very sweet and short introduction about myself. I thank him profusely for taking this responsibility from the organizers. On behalf of the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs and on my own behalf and on my office's behalf, there is a Protector of Immigrants, Government of India, Chennai, located at Ashok Nagar. I welcome you all to this small presentation on Indian labor for overseas employers and projects. First of all, I would like to put on record my deep sense of appreciation to Mr. Dinesh for having given me this opportunity to come over here and talk to this sea of business leaders in this region. When somebody spoke of mason, carpenter, plumber, I thought, okay, I'm in the right place. Because day in, day out, I've been giving the immigration clearance to all these foreign employers for various works like construction, health industry, restaurants, to say a few. When I heard these words, mason, plumber, carpenter, I felt at home. Okay, I'm here at the right place. When Mr. Dinesh invited me to talk to you in this August forum, I was just wondering what should I talk. Because it's completely a world of entrepreneurs out there, and I'm from the government side. And what is there for me to talk? Then I chalked out something which is very interesting and which is hitherto may not be in the know-how of many of you. I thought this would definitely benefit you at the end of this small discussion. I'm sure before to start, many of you would have handled the workforce deployment to your overseas projects. I'm sure many of the HR heads here would have handled this question of how to deploy the labor force for the projects that you have undertaken in the overseas side. And some of you might be even deploying your technical hands for a short-term business visit kind of visa, where the worker or the technical person is supposed to go to the overseas site and do sort of repair or maintenance works and then come back within a span of 15 days or 20 days. And you would be wondering at the immigration check post or the immigration check counters at the international airports that some of your labor might have been turned down for for not having an immigration clearance or having been confronted with some other requirements like you are proceeding on an employment but you are having a visit visa, we will not be in a position to send you across. All these questions and issues related to deployment of Indian workforce abroad might be there in your mind. I'm sure I'm trying to address some of these issues. We would just go through some of these points, the points for discussion. Next slide, please. The legal framework regulating the Indian workforce deployment overseas to start with, and the procedures to comply with pre-mobilization of workers from your end, and the actual mobilization of workforce and the issues connected with it, and post-mobilization responsibilities from your end as well as the employer or the project exporter's end across the sea, and to conclude the summary of the issues that we had discussed. Next slide, please. Legal framework, because I wanted to make it very short and sweet. India is equipped with the Immigration Act 1983. As per directions of the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court of India, this act came up in 1983. It regulates immigration out of India. Immigration means employment of a worker outside India, and no such worker can emigrate without a proper immigration clearance obtained from the statutory authority, that is the Protector of Immigrants. Protector General of Immigrants is the regulating authority of this entire activity. He is the registering authority for issuing registration certificates to various recruiting agents as well as the foreign employers if they want to take up a direct recruitment on their own, or Indian project exporters, where the Indian business houses, if they want to take a project abroad and they want to mobilize their own workforce, or they want to recruit from India and place workers in their project sites overseas, all these three modes of mobilizations are available either through the registered recruiting agents or the permit holders of the permit holders from the overseas, that is the foreign employers, or the Indian project exporters, where most of you would fill in at this point of time, where many of you would be willing to take a project exporter license, or some of you would have set up a business house or industry in the foreign soils in different names like L&T at Abu Dhabi, L&T at Muscat and all. The Protector of Immigrants is the clearance granting authority under Section 22 of the Act 1983. Currently, a labor force which is below metric, that is the one who is below metric, who is having an immigration check required category passport holders, they are all supposed to take immigration clearance from the Protector of Immigrants. They can take the immigration clearance either individually, directly from the Protector of Immigrants, or through the registered recruiting agents as part of recruitment done by the recruiting agent in bulk after receiving an order from the foreign employer, or the foreign employer after having obtained a permit from the Protector General of Immigrants, Government of India, who is the registering authority. They can recruit directly, or the Indian project exporters after having obtained a permit from the Government of India through the registering authority, that is the Protector General of Immigrants. They can also mobilize their own local workforce to a foreign project site. Sourcing of labor requirements should always be in compliance with this Act of 1983. We try to regulate the entire mobilization, especially from the context of labor, that is below metric workers, the immigration check required category passport holders. In the case of anybody who is not a ECR passport holders, the mobilization you can take it up on your own without the requirement of going through an immigration clearance process from the Protector of Immigrants. However, it is advisable that you take a proper permit before you mobilize the workers, so that in case of a complaint coming from the worker end or the technical hands end from the overseas, we will jump into action against you as per the statutes available. Next. Sourcing of Indian workforce through a registered, there are three modes as I already discussed. One is you can source your worker requirement for your project sites abroad, or as a foreign employer operating from overseas, either through a registered recruiting agent by placing a proper order for recruitment of so many numbers of masons, so many numbers of carpenters or plumbers or oil and gas workers, whatever it is. And this registered recruiting agents are those who have obtained a registration certificate under Section 11 of the Immigration Act 1983, or the foreign employer himself after obtaining a permit under Section 15, or the Indian project exporter after obtaining a permit under provisions of Rule 11.2 of the Immigration Act. Next. How to obtain a permit? Application prescribed form has to accompany application fee of rupees 25,000. In the case of registered recruiting agents, they register with the Government of India after furnishing a bank guarantee to the tune of rupees 20 lakh, valid for a period of 8.5 years. Similar is the requirement if you want to take a permit on your own as a foreign employer, as an Indian foreign employer located abroad, or Indian project exporter, whatsoever it may be. The requirement is rupees 10,000 per head to be recruited. If you want 100 people to be recruited, 100 into 10,000 should be the bank guarantee that you furnish with the Government of India and take a permit. And thereafter you start your mobilization and recruitment on your own. There is a minimum and maximum cap on this. The minimum is rupees 1 lakh. That is for mobilizing a minimum of 10 workers, and a maximum of 20 lakhs rupees. That is up to 200 workers. Right? You can go up to 200 workers with a given guarantee of 20 lakhs rupees. Bank guarantee should be valid for a period of 1 year over and above the duration of employment contract. This is to take care of in the eventuality of any worker getting retrenched in between, or he is put to undue hardships by not following proper payment schedules and gratuity and other issues. Next, please. Pre-mobilization responsibilities, yes. After having obtained the permit or placed the order through a registered recruiting agent, you can take up the recruiting exercise or mobilization exercise on your own. It's entirely your responsibility to source the workers depending upon the skill requirements for your projects or you as a foreign employer. You are given all the liberty to come over to India and place an advertisement, conduct interviews at various venues, do selection interviews, do trade testings on your own, assess the skill levels of the workers. If required, you can conduct skill upgradation trainings on your own in coordination with your registered recruiting agent, or by hiring out at technical trade centers or technical training centers on your own, so that you can try to bridge the skill gap that is required. It is entirely your responsibility to assess the skill requirement, train for bridging the skill gap, and obtain workforce to your own satisfaction. You are also supposed to conduct a pre-departure orientation to the workers, because the Indian worker is by and large, I am talking about the worker or the laborers basically who are below metric, who do not have an wherewithal to understand the issues like basically from the passport, visa, immigration procedures, and post-deployment issues like how to go about one's stay in the overseas without any problem. You are supposed to ensure the pre-departure orientation is given to the recruited one about your company profile, about the work profile, about the requirements, and what you expect out of the workers. This should be given in advance prior to mobilization. And ensure immigration clearance is obtained as per statute from the POE for the immigration check required workers. In the case of ECNR workers, you are free to deploy them as and when they are recruited and the visa is ready for them. Next. Responsibilities of employer post-mobilization. As per the statute, the entire responsibility of looking after the welfare of the labor mobilized from India is the responsibility of foreign employer. If you are an Indian foreign employer located overseas, it equally holds good for you. If you are a project exporter, similar is the case. You are supposed to look after the entire welfare of Indian workers, especially in the case of immigration check required category workers. You are supposed to ensure free food or food allowance in lieu of free food, or free accommodation, a free decent accommodation. It's not that you junk 20 or 30 odd guys into a small 10 by 10 room and provide them with a single toilet facilities. When a complaint comes to us, we would definitely jump into action against you or the project exporter. This is only to give you an idea that things should not be taken lightly on your part. Free food, free accommodation, free transport, you have to ensure from your work site to the site of accommodation. Then free to and fro air tickets have to be ensured at the cost of the employer or the project exporter. Free access to medical aid, either at your own work center or from designated medical centers as empaneled by the employer yourselves. Free visa, the entire immigration check required category passport holders are entitled to have a free visa at the cost of the employers. The point I'm trying to drive is that at no point any deduction from the salary of the worker is allowed on account of anything like, visa charges, accommodation charges, especially I'm talking about the immigration check required category passport holders. Visa, residence permit at the cost of the foreign employer or the project exporter. In the case of ECR category workers is a must. In case of a death, prior to death, the minimum insurance requirements as per the statutes available across has to be ensured. Each country is following different set of insurance. Some countries are having worksite compensation insurance. Some countries are having accidental insurance and things like that. On our own part, the government of India has put in a Pravasi Bharatiya Bima Yojana, which ensures 10 lakhs rupees compensation in case of a death due to accident or permanent disability due to any injury leading to permanent disability. And the second most important thing is to ensure that their salary and other benefits like allowances all given to them in time, properly, preferably through an online mode. Because most of the disputes arise when you maintain it on a manual record and the worker comes back to us and saying that, I don't know what is the salary paid to me, I am only given 600 dirhams or 700 dirhams in Abu Dhabi, whereas my contract has been signed for 1000 dirhams. During the pre-departure orientation, it is your responsibility kindly explain to them that this is going to be your payment terms. This is the breakup of your salary. The basic salary would be this much, your allowance would be this much, and you are entitled to these benefits. And try to and ensure that the salary is paid according to the terms and conditions. If there is anything mismatch with the contract that has been signed by the workforce, he will definitely jump into a complaint with the Indian Embassy or with the protectorates of immigrants in India. Preferably, open a savings bank account and in India itself an NRI account so that their salary can be credited on a regular time. Next, please. I would keep it at this. If you have any queries, we can discuss at length. I'm having a lot of time. I'm a given opportunity, I would go on speaking on all these issues at length, which I don't think right now it is not the requirement. You are free to contact my office, the Protector of Immigrants, Chennai, Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs, Government of India, Ashok Nagar, Tamil Nadu Housing Board Complex, Chennai 83. Our contact numbers are 24891337 and 247-45610. And my own contact number is 9444944290. And we have launched a website called poechennai.in, where the entire procedures and processes, legal requirements have been put on place in the website. I encourage every one of you to visit the website poechennai.in, www.poechennai.in. And we have provided a email also, contact@poechennai.in, where your queries and doubts can be raised to me, which will be personally answered by me. Apart from this, the ministry is running a website, Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs, www.moia.gov.in, wherein you can have access to the Honorable Minister down to the level, to the registering authority on every issue related to the immigration. I would urge every one of you to, be in the know-how of various requirements for mobilization of Indian workforce to your foreign requirements, and ensure that you comply with the statutory obligations pre and post mobilization, and ensure that you are a responsible employer, being capable of emulated by others. Thank you very much. If you have any doubts, you can have Can I have a question or other? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jaishankar, for a very revealing presentation on immigration. People who are interested to work abroad, the legal framework, the law, the sources, the sourcing route, the pre and the post mobilization. Thank you once again. Please give him a hand, please. We have yet a second very distinguished speaker. I call him the man in white because he's always in this dress. And he is from Madurai, my town. So that's how I call him more distinguished. I know him personally, a very good friend of mine. Dr. N. Sethuraman. I have great pleasure in introducing to you and presenting to you a bit of the very long biodata that he has. He's a medical doctor by profession with specialization in urology. Has been a topper in the high school, college, Medical College. He's won several medals, gold medals from the University of Madras, in the MBBS, in the specialization in urology. A brilliant student. Well, he's very well known because in Madurai, especially in Madurai, he runs a 750-bedded multi-speciality hospital, a huge affair. I go there for my annual health checkup. Great institution, single-handedly built up, developed, and still growing. Wonderful set of employees, both from the doctor's side and the supporting paramedics. He is also into catering. He is the founder managing partner of the Meenakshi Bhavan group of restaurants. A lot of specialities there. You can check out with him what is the speciality about Meenakshi Bhavan when he is there during lunchtime. He is the past president of the Tamil Nadu Voluntary Health Association. He is a founder of FACT, Federation for Anti-Corruption Teams. He is also the founder patron of the Humor Club in Madurai. In short, a multifaceted personality. He is also into a very active member of the National Institute of Personnel Management of the Madurai chapter, very frequently heard speaker on various aspects of human resource development. I have great pleasure introducing to you Dr. Sethuraman. Give me a hand, please. Doctor, we have 15 minutes. Thank you.
My assistant chairman, Mr. Hari, my colleague, Mr. Jai Shankar, our HR friends, very good evening to all of you. First of all, I would like to congratulate the organizers of this caucus for selecting a wonderful topic which requires a great discussion today in this situation. Though I am employing about 4,500 people, I would like to share some of my experiences in how we have selected, how we have paid salary for 3 or 4 months, and how they have dismissed us, our employees, or we have dismissed them because of mismatch between their skill and the skill needed. I would like to tell an instance in our hospital, which is not uncommon in most hospitals, big hospitals, of some rare technicians. Maybe a pump technician, maybe a nuclear medicine technician, some of these technicians who are in demand for about 500, 600, a number in the whole country. But the total number of the nuclear medicine technicians in the whole country will be 200, 250 only. I don't know the exact figure. So when demand is 500 and the technician present is only 250, in this situation we have employed these guys. One nuclear medicine technician was with us for last 15 years because he belongs to a place near Virudhunagar, near Madurai. See, we had a newly recruited HR guy with a salary about 1 lakh or something. This guy comes and then takes 1 month to settle. And then he one day goes through the attendance register and this, who are nuclear medicine guy has come 10 minutes late. Immediately he calls the department and says, come and meet me. This fellow came, and then there was a lot of crowd in the office of the HR guy, chief of HR guy. So he waited, as usual, these highly technical people, they are highly intolerant also. So he went out. He went to his chair. Then after 2 hours, this fellow says that he has not turned up. So again calls him and scolds him. What is it? I have called you, but you are not. No, respected the HR department. And he used some other words also. So he comes there with a resignation letter and then hands it over to him. So this poor guy who was working in some production industry, yes, come to the service industry for the first time, this HR guy, he doesn't know the importance of these people. And unfortunately, I was not there on that day. Otherwise, he would have come and seen me, and then I would have pacified these guys. We were taking a lot of trouble to recruit this guy. We went to that conference, and then they shopped around that conference, and then picked up this fellow, and I coaxed him, then paid 5,000 rupees more than what is prevailing salary in the country. So these are so many things. So what is this? It's not a cock and bull story. This is what has happened in our hospital. Here, what is lacking in the technician is, interpersonal skill for the technician. Because he thinks he's a big guy. He has got a big price. He has got about nearly 5 or 6 appointment letters from other institutions. He can at any time move. He is there in Meenakshi Mission only because parents are there very close to him. That is about this fellow. How about this HR guy? This HR guy is very good HR man. He is very good in IT, computer. He has introduced this fingerprint attendants and all. So we are very happy. But what happened? He doesn't know anything about the hospital management. So there is a big skill gap in the HR guy. Similarly, there is a skill gap in the technician. This is what is happening today. And that's why I congratulate the organizer for selecting this topic. I don't want to take much of your time, but one thing I would like to tell you is already 1:30. There are 3 difficult things in life. I was told by my professor in medicine. One is trying to climb a fence which is leaning towards you, like this. Another difficult thing is trying to catch a girl, love a girl who is running away from you. The third one is to deliver a lecture just before lunch. So I will try to cut short many of my slides, because my time given is only 15 minutes. Already some 3-4 minutes have gone. I will stick to the time. I don't know how to change the slides. You do one thing. I have brought a tick as usual. So if I do this, you change the slide. No? So, skill mapping. Research indicates that 25% of the online job problems is the inability to identify the gaps between the skill of a person and skill for the job. That's what has happened in both these guys. 50% of problems during the work is because people are in the wrong job, not proper training. That is what research has indicated. Now, this triangle, we used to tell triangle of excellence. Here there are two words to be remembered. One is skill, another is competency. So, for the practical purposes, though they are having different meaning, I will use as if they are having same meaning for practical purposes. The skill is most important thing. With knowledge, skill, attitude, they form important triangle, sides of the triangle. But only when you have values associated with that, you will have success. But all these things lead to good behavior and good success. So, all these 5 components put together is your competency. Whereas, skill is one part of a big circle. Only small circle in a big circle. Competencies are inputs in a cluster of knowledge, skill, personal attributes that affect an individual's ability to perform. What is the definition of a skill? We all know. I don't want to go into it. I'm sorry, due to lack of time, I'm just... this was the full SS. This is a behavioral iceberg. What you see outside is only the behavior of an individual, your employee. Whereas deep inside him is aptitude, attitude, skill and knowledge. You can't measure this, the bottom 5 aspects. Whereas top one, of course, you can measure. The bottom one can be measured by subjective behaviors, by subjective tools. So I like to tell you how we do skill mapping in our organization and try to do something to bridge the gap. This I like to acknowledge to our session chairman, Mr. Hari, who taught me about this. See, I'm only a urologist. I don't know all this jargons in the management. But I pick up ideas from people like Hari and people like you. So skill mapping is a process of identifying key competencies for a particular position in an organization and then using it for job evaluation, recruitment, training, performance management, succession planning. Competency mapping is about identifying preferred behaviors and personal skills with a distinguished, excellent and outstanding performance from the average. So this is our skill mapping chart. Out of many skills available, some 30, 35 skills are there, we select some 12 skills which fit in with most of our job requirements. And then we try to evaluate by asking our employees themselves, evaluate an individual by asking our employees to give a training for about an hour or so. Then they are asked to give marks on these various skills. I'm sorry for small letters. The first one is a technical skill, second one is communication, third one is listening skill and so on. Here, how many people are evaluating? So we form a group of 30. And among 30, 10 people, they are peers. I'm telling roughly. 10 people are subordinates. 10 people are above this person. We form a group. Group may not be in the same department. Maybe they neighboring departments or related departments. One may be a supplier of the internal customer, another may be a provider or something. So there will be people interacting with the person. So they skill on 5-point scale. The 5-point scale is A is excellent, E is below average. So you give 5 marks for A and 0 mark for E, or 1 mark for E. Yes, 0 mark for E. So you have marks on this side, and the marks are given by 30 people for a team. Please remember. So for in each person, he evaluated by 30 people. And total 30 into 5, 150 evaluations. And then it is again multiplied by other teams. And these are all done only in computer, cannot be manually done. So within 2 days you get the result. And now, in addition to that, we also do one thing. Best among the 30 and worst among the 30. That is also done. I will come to that later. Then, in the 12 arms, you mark where they stand. This is an imaginary marking, just to avoid confusion. Let us say that this guy is lacking communication skill and listening skill, which is usual thing for a assistant or just technician who comes from a village, who was just now talked by our friend. So, these 2 areas, this guy is lacking. That's what we have found out. And this is an average that is assessed by 30 people in his team. Skill gap mapping plays a vital role in selecting, recruiting, and retaining right people. It also helps in determining the training development needs, and importantly, it helps to encourage best and develop the rest. A win-win situation for both. This is a marking, the end result. The end result comes like this. See the ideal score, and the second column is a score obtained by this gentleman. Then the third column is a difference. Here you see I'm sorry, I don't know how to handle this. Is there any pointer? Doesn't matter. You see the last 2 columns. That is, one is best among the lot, the second one is worst among the lot. So this is also assessed at the same time. By the time the assessment comes, within 2 days, you will see we have about 2,500 employees. You calculate how many teams will be there. And in this, out of 50 people or so, about 30, 40 would have left already. Some of them would have left even before assessment. Some of them would have left after assessment. All the worst fellows. The best fellows, they are also dangerous fellows. They also leave us. Because they know the best fellows are these technicians type of persons. They require a special treatment. They require a special skill to keep them. The chairman of the company, I have run 3 or 4 companies. We can't be talking to them every day, pacifying them. It is not possible. So they don't understand this. So the best fellows are also dangerous. As far as it may be good for a college, but for a service industry, I will be very cautious for the best fellow, because he is always sought after. Sought after by so many other hospitals, he will be easily kidnapped. I used to word kidnap. So, I give special attention to the best people, just to keep them. So that is our finding. Now you see, you give special training for the guy who is lacking communication skill. And after that, you find this gap is filled up. So this is a simple technique, but not so simple in practice. But for a conference, to show in a slide, it will be very simple. So in conclusion, what are the advantages of this skill mapping? Advantage for the company: establishes expectation for performance excellence, improved job satisfaction and better employee retention, increase the effectiveness of training and professional development programs, provides a common standard for career levels that enables employees to move across business boundaries and help companies raise the bar or performance. What's the advantage for the manager? Identify performance criteria to improve accuracy and ease of selection process for manager. Provide more objective performance standards. We provide objective performance standard, not subjective. We give a mark for a soft skill, mark for the so many soft skills. Then easier communication performance expectations. Provide clear foundation for dialogue to occur between manager and the employee. Okay, sir. Another 2 slides. Advantage for the customer: get better products and service. Dissatisfaction level of the customer is reduced. One customer brings another 8 customers. Then develop strong brand for your hospital or for your institution. My dear friends, due to lack of time, already the slip has come. So I am trying to skip these 2 slides. Steps for improving the competency mapping model. You do competency mapping and try to give training on the deficient areas. That fulfills your requirement. That's all. These are the steps. And next slide. And thank you very much. I'll be pleased to answer your questions.
You just now heard Dr. Sethuraman talking to you about the Meenakshi Mission experience of implementing competency mapping, skill mapping exercise. I don't know whether you saw one very interesting attribute that they have put there among the 10 attributes. Sense of humor. Fantastic, doctor. That's great. I don't know how you measure it. I'll be very keen to know how you measure the sense of humor amongst people, but very interesting. Another one which they have put among the 10, which I found, loyalty and commitment. I don't know how you measure it quantitatively or qualitatively in terms of giving a score of 4 or 3 against loyalty and commitment. I would be very interested to know. Nuts and bolts of the exercise was explained. I thought Dr. Sethuraman could go on and on, but then I prodded him saying that there is time up for him. Gentlemen, you will have a lot of questions. I know Dr. Sethuraman has done very wonderful work, not only in the field of medical research, but in human resource aspects. He has brought his hospital into a shape where a lot of good things have happened in HR. He's very keen a student of HR, very keen to introduce new things, so keeps looking around what others have done or others are doing and whether it can be replicated in Meenakshi Mission. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Now we have a little time permitting the chief here sitting, 1 or 2 questions from the house, and then we break for lunch. Thank you very much.
Yeah, can I have the volunteers over there with the mic, at the right mic? We'll take 1 or 2 quick questions and then we'll do the honor and break for lunch. Yeah.
I would like to ask Mr. Hari. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Are, you can answer from here.
I'm Rohini and I work in the talent management team at GAVS Technologies. My question is, you were talking about employability assessment and employability training programs. Could you share some more on this topic and tell us what are the specific training programs you might have driven in this area?
Can you repeat it once more?
So you were talking about employability assessment and employability training programs. Could you throw some more light on this topic and what are the specific programs you have driven in this area?
Number one, we do not have specifically employment or employability assessment training. What I was trying to tell you is there are organizations which have taken these programs. There are specific organizations or institutions like MindTrack who are based in Bangalore and who undertake employability assessments. They have batteries of questions which people can take online as well as offline. They can get their, yeah. I'm talking about MeritTrack, yes, MeritTrack in Bangalore. They have a huge network of organizations. They have their own battery of evaluators, battery of tests, and you can go and take it online. Students, they can take it offline. You can get your scores. You know where your gaps are, and then you work forward to improve or close those gaps. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Organizations like ITC, ICICI, even in the public sector, they have HAL, etc., have adopted or they have taken help from this organization.
So from the assessments, what are the training programs that we can give our employees?
You see, if you talk about the type of training that we do for people who join us, after their training as a graduate apprentice is over, their training needs are assessed through a very robust performance management system. And based on their performance management system and the training needs assessed, their training is tracked thereafter. We have a unit in Rudrapur in Uttarakhand, and we have, to begin with, covered the top team there on leadership development and team building. This has been both an indoor and an outdoor exercise spanning over 3 days out of work, where they sit down together and then they learn things with respect to not theoretical aspect, but the practical aspect of learning and working in teams and also developing leadership amongst themselves. And the program ends, all such programs end with an action plan in terms of team-based projects that have to be identified and completed within specific timelines which are monitored. Coming down to people at the frontline executives, that is, we talk about the top team, and then we talk about the next 2-3 levels ending at the frontline executives. We have again exposed them to team building exercises where they learn to work in teams. And those programs have also ended with specific team-based projects on which they get evaluated at the end of the year, and it is linked to their performance. Am I able to answer what you wanted?
Professor Kaliya Perumal, I have the question to Mr. Jai Shankar. See, many agencies, they take the contract laborers to various countries and they leave them. And they are not provided proper job, they are not provided proper shelter, and they suffer like anything. They are not able to come back also. So for this type of people, what action you are taking?
Thank you for this question. From your question itself, the first part of your question is many agents. You described it as many agents. Many agents, I don't understand whether you mean the authorized recruiting agents. I don't think so. Every travel agent is a potential recruiting agent in this country. People are not able to distinguish between who is an authorized registered recruiting agent and who is not an authorized registered recruiting agent. The details of registration certificate holders, that is in the common parlance, the licensed recruiting agents, are put on our website. www.poeonline.gov.in. In this website, you can search for the genuinity of the recruiting agent by name, by the license number or the registration certificate number appearing on the advertisement, or by even keying in few simple words with 3 letters or even the phone number. Search facilities are available. On our own part from the Chennai Protectorate of Immigrants, we have launched the website of poechennai.in, wherein on the home page a complete scroll is running to say who are the registered recruiting agents who are holding valid license as on date. The point I'm trying to drive is public at large and the workforce at large should be made aware that they should move on an overseas employment assignment only through an authorized registered recruiting agent. And if they think that the neighbor or the travel agent located across the corner of their street is a registered recruiting agent, or he is the person who can help him get a job, they are wrong. They are going to be taken for a ride, there is no doubt about it. And all those complaints which come to the light, either through the newspapers or through the media, in most of the cases, nobody is able to trace back the actual recruiting agent who has deployed them. So that being the situation, our urge and request, advice, counsel to everyone is that regulating migration is not a law and order issue. It's a social issue. Everybody has a right to take an employment abroad. Everybody wants to go. This urge to take an overseas employment starts from even the highest qualified person. So there's no doubt a biometric guy would like to definitely get placed abroad, because it is going to give him a social status once he comes back. It adds a social prestige to him. His matrimonial value increases. So these are all the things which drive them to, plunge into the overseas employment, unmindful of the regulating framework in hand. So all that we would request every stakeholder in the entire migration cycle, starting from Government of India, Government of the states, business houses like you, registered recruiting agents, travel agents. Even in the case of travel agents, we urge them to direct those workers or those aspirants to approach the proper registered recruiting. They should direct them. They should not take up on their own the responsibility of placing somebody abroad, saying that, okay, you give me the passport, I will get you a job. No. Only the registered recruiting agents have been given the liberty to take the passports and biodata of the potential workers and process for the overseas things. Second part, there is no differentiation between those who have moved on a regular channel. We call it in these 2 words, regular migration or irregular migration. The regular migration which we refer to in the government is those who have complied with the statutory framework, who have gone through the legal requirements, that is obtaining an immigration clearance or through going through a registered recruiting agent. Those people who have moved out in that way, we refer it as regular migrants. And on everybody else, especially the immigration check required category holders, if they move out on an irregular channel, we call them as irregular migrants. But at the same time, government never disowns the responsibility of taking care of their welfare. When it comes to a complaint from anybody X, Y, or Z, whether he had moved through a regular migration channel or an irregular migration channel, we take up the complaint very seriously. We try to address the issue. The Indian embassies have been given powers to intervene in the issue. They call up the foreign employer, try to address the issues. If it is a salary issue, the employer would be directed to resolve the issues. Otherwise, the employer would be blacklisted by Government of India for not recruiting workers anymore thereafter. Till such a period of time, they come to terms and tender an apology with the Government of India that we will not repeat these kind of mistakes with Indian workers in future. So we go to the extent of even penalizing the registered recruiting agent. Even not only talking about the unauthorized recruiting agents, even the registered recruiting agents, after having deployed the workers, if the workers are having any problem at the work site or at the destination country, it is the responsibility of the registered recruiting agent. If he fails to do that, he will be penalized. First thing is his license would be suspended so that he would not be able to take up any sort of recruiting activity. And subsequently, as a part of legal, as a logical conclusion, his license would be cancelled if everything is found to be, at the wrong end from his side. So we have put in various measures to ensure the workers' welfare. And if time permits, I can go on talking about this. I hope I'm able to address the issue.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any question?
I have one question to the founder chairman of Meenakshi Missions Group.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Sir, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
My name is Sudhakar. We all know, my question, I will complete the question in short. We all know certain good habits like an apple a day keeps the doctor away. An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Okay.
30 minutes of walking will keep you healthy. 2 minutes of breathing exercise. At least view or 5 minutes, 10 minutes of comedy channels before going to bed. Idella vandu almost kg lendu enak kattundrukken.
Everybody is hungry.
Yes. I just want to understand the reason doctors can have the skill to affectionately threaten the patients for prevention is better than cure. I consider doctors should have the skill to affectionately threaten the patients that, if you don't walk, if you walk.
Thank you very much for your good theory.
No, I just wanted to understand from you.
Yeah, I know.
You're a very senior person.
I know what you want to drive home. Unfortunately, the audition here is not good. That's why we have to come out and then evening time, you please correct it.
We'll change it post-lunch.
Okay. You have some mic here so that we will be...
You want the question to be repeated or?
No, now I can...
Now clear, okay.
But some mic here.
We will.
Audition is not good. So your question is, the skill of a doctor. Please remember, we are only... in the medical college, taught only the science of medicine, not art of medicine. So, we are now asked to train to dispose patients in our OP. During our house surgeon days, during our doctors, the government doctor, training in the government hospitals, even private hospitals, we used to see, we are given a load of nearly 300, 400 patients. As soon as you see the patient, you start writing the prescription. You don't even listen to what they are telling. The most important skill for a doctor is a communication skill, listening skill, communication skill. So there are so many skills, soft skills, which are not taught in the medical college. I would like to, if there are some medical doctors, please pardon me, even our professors, they don't know this. So, when they don't know, how can you know? So, if 100 doctors come out of medical college, please remember, only 4 or 5 are like Seduraman. Others are just money-making machine. They may make big money. And the rest of 50% of them, more than 50%, they are average doctors. Go to government service, dispose patients like this, and then at the age of 65, develop heart attack. By this time, their children would have become an engineers, gone to US. This is all the life of a doctor. So there is something which is not taught in medical college. And you are right now, want me to tell about it. It takes about 7 days of 3 hours each day to train our doctors on what is not taught in medical college. So our hospital is one of the famous hospitals in southern part of Tamil Nadu, because I give them what is called soft skill training for all the doctors who are recruited in our hospital. And most of the people who have worked there in our hospital, they are flourishing outside. when they leave us, we happily send them out when somebody goes out. Because we are sending our ambassadors, building our brand ambassadors. So we don't be jealous on them. So in other words, doctors have to develop some good communication skills. After attending today's session, for me, the one take-home message is, it's high time that